Hey, how's it going, folks? The name is Poseidon Air. You may know me from my abysmal Everything Wrong with Don't Mind at Night video from years ago. Fear not, for I have changed. I now work as an assistant writer for Animation Wins. Now here's a little message of importance before the video starts. Quarantine sucks for a lot of people, and Whovian's no exception. Due to the shutdown keeping everyone indoors, Whovian hasn't had enough time on his own to record any voice lines for EGA Songs of War. That's why I've offered to fill him in for today's video. Fill in for him for today's video. That means I'll be speaking for today instead of him. You may need to get used to me, as Whovian's issues could go on for God knows how long, and I'm willing to do what I must to help a pal out. Will the rest of the EGA Songs of War videos be narrated by me? Maybe, maybe not. That remains to be seen. One last thing to keep in mind. The script is still mostly Whovian's, and it's written from his perspective, not mine. That means that any opinions put forth throughout the video belong to him, not me. I'm just saying this to clear up any confusion. Anyhow, I've rambled on for quite a while and it's probably best we get started. So without further ado, here's what you've all been waiting for. Everything great about Songs of War. Showing us a quick snippet of the Great War is an amazing way to hook the viewer in. There's an unknown factor as to what's going on or how it happened, which causes the audience to ask questions and continue watching to get more information.
Our world, Ardonia, is a vast land.
This will not be the last time we bring this up, but the look and atmosphere of Ardonia is off the charts. The lighting, the scenery, the clouds, everything is just pure beauty.
Our world, Ardonia, is a vast land. Home to many diverse people, strange creatures, and dangerous monsters.
You can hear the main Songs of War theme, which from here on out, I'm going to be calling it Ardonia's theme, because that's what it really is. It usually plays when new locations are being shown to us, or new characters are introduced.
Few of these mysteries, however, have attracted such fascination as the Ardoni species, for which the land shares its name.
The scenes of the Mendoris, Sandaris, and Nestoris clans depict. The scenes of the Mendoris, Sandaris, and Nestoris clans depict each of them moving with distinct animations, making the scene look more realistic and natural.
The Ardoni possess the unique ability to wield great powers known as songs.
Ugh, this score! After Infinity Music appears to have taken heavy inspiration from fantasy soundtracks such as Lord of the Rings, and it is such a pleasure to listen to. The design of the songs appropriately have a magical feel to them. Also, the reason they're called songs is because of a certain note/tone that is played when they are used.
And powerful.
An insanely clever idea, and they do a great job maintaining this continuity.
The strongest of these powers were referred to as prime songs.
Just one look and you can feel that the prime songs are more powerful than the songs, and that's due to their design being based around a tesseract, which is a 4-dimensional cube. It also fits as the Protisium songs look like the MCU's tesseract.
The strongest of these powers were referred to as prime songs, and were deemed too powerful for the Ardoni to wield freely. Thus, they were given to the masters of the 4 Ardoni clans as a sign of peace and unity. Because of this, the clans were blinded to a great danger. From within the fires of the Netherrealm, an army set out to conquer the overworld.
The choir and the soprano voice here do a great job setting how this is a joyous moment only to be juxtaposed by the sinister and brooding theme of the Netherrealm.
They vanquished the kingdoms and people of Ardonia as they spread across the land.
The narration and the visuals do an incredible job describing what a powerful force the Nether Army is, leaving everything behind them in chaos and flames.
But they were not to remain unchallenged.
Wow, just wow. The lighting, the foggy environment, the walk in a line, the design of the Ender Knights, everything about this is just so bad.
The Ender Knights returned during these dark times, long having been guardians of the overworld.
This is probably the best looking Minecraft animation I've seen. The wavy water, the realistic clouds, the beautiful lighting and reflections in the water, and the mellow shadows going over the land. Also, the dragon wings actually move around in reaction to the wind.
The two opposing realms clashed with a fury of inconceivable power.
The axe bumps a little as it is dragged along the ground. The fire effects are different colors based on who set them. This dragon just tore off a head of a wither! And the fight between this Nether Soldier and this Ender Knight is incredibly intense, with amazing choreography and camera movements. Brutal. Yeah, Hoovian wrote a lot of U's.
Yet the Nether had prepared well for this invasion, and even the legendary Ender Knights could not stop them.
In this scene here, there are many fire embers flying through the air. I think it was a brilliant idea to add those, because if they didn't, the shot would have felt empty. Another reason to fear the Nether Army, they can take out an Ender Dragon. These arrow models.
With no hope of victory, the kingdoms called upon the Ardoni to wield the Prime Songs.
The banners in this series are all craftable in-game. Also, the Ardoni being called upon develops the relationships of the kingdoms, showing trust among them is strong. The Ardoni do not seem to approve of the fact that the Prime Songs need to be put to use, matching with their belief that power can corrupt the soul, referencing the Voltaris' abuse of the power, which also foreshadows the creation of the Death Singer.
Reluctantly, the clans agreed and held a tournament to determine which Ardoni would become their champion.
The Arena of the Ardoni is a beautiful location, with the snow, ice, and glowing ore adding to the aesthetic. This Sandaris Ardoni in the foreground next to the Nestoris has the same markings as Osivian, and then here's young Phalius.
The champion had been found. When presented with the Prime Songs, however, he revealed himself as Ingressus, leader of the long-forgotten and dreaded Voltaris clan. Outraged, the Masters refused to give Ingressus the Prime Songs, for it was due to their misuse of such power that they had been banished long ago.
When Ingressus reveals himself, he doesn't have a sinister smile. He doesn't seem to want to wield the Prime Songs for his own gain. He appears to genuinely want to help the rest of the Ardoni against the Nether Army. The Master's denial of the Prime Songs show how they don't believe this and assumed he was up to no good based on his clan, showing they have a prejudice for their own kind. This also shows that what society thinks of you can become who you are, since Ingressus turned evil after the Masters treated him unfairly. Also, while the Sandaris, Kaltaris, and Mendoris Masters seem to be hostile to Ingressus, Aegis, the Nestoris Master, looks back to Ingressus with sympathy as if he's aware of the unfair treatment and not totally complicit in it.
That night, while the clans debated their next course of action, Ingressus set out alone to reclaim the Prime Songs.
Ingressus' sword has been glowing red, and when he finally snaps, the sword is engulfed in flames.
One by one, he slayed the Masters of the Kaltaris, Sandaris and Mindar's clan.
The Kaltaris Master's luminescent markings extinguish as he is killed, a very interesting feature for the Ardoni species.
Sandaris and Mindar's clan.
The music during this entire scene is incredibly intense, shifting from a slow, dramatic choir to a string-slaying, drum-banging villain theme. Brutal.
Through these dark deeds, he became known as the Death Singer.
Carl G. Brooks just brings life to this series, making the intense moments sound more intense, but still managing to maintain a calm, collective, and nice-sounding tone when needed. Carl G. Brooks will, from henceforth, always be a win. The facial expressions for this shot are on point. Ingressus seems to regret his actions, but now realizes he can't go back on them. He sealed his fate, and he will only stop once his work is done. Also, Ingressus is surrounded by the flames of his actions, as the narration explains he is no longer Ingressus and is now Death Singer.
The fourth and final master, Aegis Nestoris, survived the massacre, thus protecting the last and most powerful Prime Song.
Aegis was the only master who showed sympathy to Ingressus after he was denied the Prime Songs, so he possibly survived because he was targeted last, or Death Singer never even intended to kill him. Facial expressions for all the Nestoris, especially Aegis, are incredibly sympathetic, as if they all feel responsible for what had happened, as if it were their fault, which, in a way, it kinda was. All except this Ardoni. His expression is definitely ticked off. This is actually Achillean Nestoris, aka the Tide Singer, and his reason for being angry will be revealed later, but here's a win for showing Achillean before showing him.
The Ardoni mourned the tragedy. They vowed to hunt down the Death Singer, and to prevent him from obtaining the final Prime Song.
The tombstones here match with the colors of their corresponding clan. Also, the waterfalls are actually flowing water. The map here is extremely well done, with beautiful scenery such as the ledge hanging over with the waterfalls pouring off it. This older Sandaris comforting the young one is incredibly cute.
It was at this time that the Voltaris clan returned from exile. However, even with their support, he knew that he was outmatched.
The snow effects of this moment are on point. Also, the trees wave incredibly hard, corresponding to the wind speeds. The Voltaris weapons in this scene are modeled very well, especially that sword on the left.
The Death Singer met with King Kronos of the Nether, and formed the most powerful alliance ever known. And thus began the Great War.
The music for this section was amazing. The horns, the cellos, and basses, drums, and the harsh EDM sounds going on in the background. A perfect way to build up what chaos is to come. The red hue of the battlefield showing that the Nether Voltaris Alliance has the upper hand in this battle.
The Ender Knights rallied under King Rendor and fought the Nether head-on.
The shaking camera as the dragon flies past.
The humans reassembled their armies. The Ardoni clans wielded their songs of old.
The narration builds this up as the ultimate team-up, seeming enough to stop the Nether Voltaris Alliance, which is the best way to get your hopes up.
Some even say he was there.
Now this raises a lot of questions for the lore. Whose side was Herobrine on? Why was he a part of the war? What did he really have to gain from fighting in it? We don't know at this point, and it's greatly intriguing.
But despite everything, the Death Singer and the Nether armies could not be stopped.
This scene goes to show the brutality of war, the damaged banner, the destruction of homes, and the Alliance taking prisoners, with some of them being children.
The tides of this conflict turned after a young Ardoni joined the fight. Skilled with the songs, Achillean Nestoris was able to unite and lead the armies to victory.
You think it was a coincidence that a great warrior that helped win a war got his name from another great warrior that helped win a war? The effects coming from his staff are well done. The skeletons glow red from where they were cut.
With his leadership and the Undernight forces, the Nether Army was forced to retreat back into the Nether.
The red hue we saw previously is being overtaken by the sunlight as the Nether Army flees into the Nether.
With no allies, the remaining Voltaris fell back to Mount Velgrin.
There's just so much going on in this scene. The mono-a-monos, the awesome lighting, the amazing look of Mount Velgrin, and the climactic music as the war reaches its climax. Just all of it.
Here, the Tide Singer fought the Death Singer alone, and both were defeated. The Prime songs were recovered and distributed amongst the clans once more, signaling an end to the Great War.
There is so much in this title card. The landscape is vast and heavily detailed, and the music is incredibly uplifting, victorious even. I'd argue Ardonia's theme is up there with Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings theme, if not better. Now we're given a more calm tone, which is greatly needed after the intensity that was the first 7.5 minutes, as we're presented with a beautiful icy coastline.
Peace was restored to Ardonia, and the time for rebuilding and healing began. The wounds caused by the Death Singer, however, will be felt forever.
These words poignantly describe what this series is about. The effects of war linger like a scar. All of the events that take place in this series are a direct cause of the Great War.
The Great War. 11th Wall of Time. Well, Hawken, I fail to see.
But as funny as this moment is, I will have to take a win off. Why? Because these facial rigs are vastly outdated and appear incomplete. There are barely any subdivisions, particularly in the mouth, the eyebrows and pupils are too wide, and there aren't even any teeth. It's not that it's hard to tell what they're meant to be feeling through their facial expressions, but it just seems incredibly off. Which do you identify more with? Ingressus regretting his actions but also knowing that he can't go back on them, or Henry finding his daughter dead in the alleyway next to his own restaurant? P.S. Coming soon. My guess is the latter, so that's because the facial rigs look more natural and human. So, this is a win-off. But, as mentioned before, it's possible to tell what they're trying to feel, and you do feel the same emotions they're feeling. The reflection on the ice is really well done.
I've heard rumors of a presence on the peak of Mount Velgrin. Being the naturally curious scholar that I am, I sent a few scouts to transform those rumors into facts. That was 2 weeks ago.
And? What was their report?
There was no report! None ever returned! Why do you think that is?
I'm not entirely sure.
The Voltaris, Thalius! The Voltaris!
The look on Hawken's face shows that he is extremely worried, which makes his character seem more alive. This is also apparent with the tone of his voice. On that note, he's played by Joe Goffney, and Joe Goffney is always a win. Okay, diamonds are amazing, but now they're glowing. In fact, all of the ore we see, apart from coal, iron, and lapis, glow, and it's a pleasing detail. It should be mentioned that the way these lamps cast light onto the wall is very appealing to look at. And with the sea lanterns as well. The light rays give off a magical and somewhat ominous, though relaxing feeling. It's an interesting blend of emotions.
I should ride to Mount Velgrin and see for myself.
Hold up there, Thalius. Although I'm no chronicler, I feel it is my duty to accompany you and record what information we find. I would also like to discover the fate of those I sent to investigate.
The look on his face shows that he knows that they are dead, and he regrets sending them out.
There is a chance we will encounter the Voltaris. And who knows what other perils...
Fear not, Thalius, for I am prepared to fight.
Very well. Come on, then. Most likely this was all just a misunderstanding.
The glowing pattern on Thalius' sword is such a pleasure to look at. These shimmering particles and light rays coming from the gateway in this shot. Also how the characters reflect on the ice. Thalius was reading from the 11th Wall of Time, and here we see 6 others. I gotta say, it's a nice detail in the shot that Hawken is actually speaking to Thalius while they are traveling. Although we can't hear him, this lets the viewer decide what they're talking about, and also helps us showcase the casual friendship between these two characters. This entire montage of the two of them traveling shows what a spectacle Ardonia is to the eye, and also shows off the extraordinarily well done maps and settings, which clearly took time and effort. Not to mention, the montage is accompanied by a musical track so powerful and majestic, it most likely makes you want to join Thalius and Hawken on their adventure. Beacon shadowing. From here on, I'm just gonna add a win every time Ardonia's theme plays. Cool? Cool. Also, man is this night sky gorgeous. The setting for Mount Valgren's peak is very cool. It's cool to see a glimpse of what conditions the Voltaris live under since they lost the Great War.
Why would they leave their belongings where others might find them?
Because they are still here.
The slow panning of the camera to reveal Tigran Voltaris while Thalius spots him out of the corner of his eye while the music suddenly turns from ominous to intense is a very effective way to show off the series' first villain. This is where it has to be pointed out. The design for Thalius' sword is awesome.
You must be Thalius Sindaris.
Tigran's markings are jagged and chaotic, which fits his character well.
I've heard many things about you.
And I have heard nothing about you.
Oh, I know. I've made quite sure of that. So allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tigran Voltaris. As for you, Thalius Sindaris, I know who you are, champion, and I know what you've done to my clan. Your sword has slain many of my brothers, and once I kill you, I will take it and slay twice as many of yours!
Tigran gets more angry as he says that line, demonstrating the grudge he holds. Also, it reveals a dark past about Thalius. We already gathered that he's been hunting Voltaris since the end of the Great War, which was approximately 150 to 200 years prior to the events in the show. But now that it's put into the spotlight, it's incredibly unsettling as it insinuates Thalius has been committing genocide on Voltaris for nearly 2 centuries.
It's like twice as many of yours!
The fight scene is incredibly fast-paced and chaotic, but not too much so to make it so that you can't understand what's happening. And the choreography is stunning, to say the least. It's a massive step up from any of BPS's past works. Previously in BPS videos, most of the sword fights appear to be simply clashing, and for this fight scene is something new and innovative in comparison. Rapid spinning, sword twirling, and physical moves like punching and kicking are just 3 examples of creative things done in this fight scene. It should also be mentioned that the visual effects for songs are really cool. Hawken to the rescue! And this is where millions of hearts shattered to a million pieces. Thalius' sorrowful expression could also be one of guilt, because he was the one who brought Hawken along. This show really made me think they would kill off both these characters in the first episode.
So many years have we prepared for this, and you are not about to interfere.
Yeah, it's cliche, but you know what? Sometimes being cliche can be awesome, like it is here. Just a whole load of yup. What a haunting note to end on. The Voltarists now want revenge more than ever, but decide not to go after Thalius and instead wait it out and strike when least expected. One final thing, the director has stated that there is a derp and a Yi in every Songs of War episode, which of course we're going to be pointing out. So here's derp, and here's Yi.
I'm back. I'm finally back. Alright. Now let's do this. The director, David R.B., stated that this episode is meant to introduce the rest of the arcs that we'll be following in this first season, which I find to be an efficient tactic. Introduce the lore in one arc in episode 1, and then introduce the rest in episode 2, leaving the other 8 episodes to further develop them. The map of this castle of Etheria is another grand sight to behold. Now we're seeing an up-close look at how society functions in Ardonia, what jobs are available, what you can buy, who occupies the town, and who can come and go. It's not deep, but it's serviceable visual exposition.
There it is, Grim. If we pull this off, I'm about to become a very wealthy man. Hand me the schematics. Come on, hurry up! According to these schematics... Grim, what is all this? I asked for schematics. I specifically asked for schematics of Etheria.
In this scene alone, we get a fine understanding of Jalkar's and Grim's characters. Jalkar is the typical money-hunting bandit, and he tries to get things done efficiently, and doesn't really like it if things don't go as planned. Grim is more clumsy and excited, and likes to do his own thing. The effects on the swords are beautiful.
Is Redstone wired?
Jalkar straight up breaks the fourth wall.
Do I even need to explain why this is a win?
We did it, Grim! I'm gonna be rich!
Another rather humorous example of Jalkar and Grim's characterization. David R.B. has stated that the trees in the far distance aren't actually part of the main map, but extensions. This is a very common practice that is used in even live-action movies such as Parasite, and it works well to make the map seem less limited or artificial. Here we get our first look at Sandaria outside of the prologue, and it's already drumming up more intrigue in how the Ardoni live, with the Hobbit dwellings and the Spired Monument. The playful buddy fighting may be cliche, but it's still effective development if done right, and that's definitely the case with the relationship between Sen and Rhea. We're also introduced to a new type of Ardoni here, the clanless, the ones who have no known heritage, and it's already posing questions such as, how does an Ardoni become clanless? What does it mean to have no known heritage? Is it possible for a clanless to become one with a clan? And the like. This is the second one-on-one fight we've seen in this series, and with this one's playful nature, it's a nice refresher after the first episodes. I just feel cheery listening to the music.
Oh, are you alright, Sen?
Yeah, I'm fine.
These water physics were created by an invisible object, and the grass and lily pads were hand animated.
That's not fair.
Do you think the undead fight fair? Or the nether? Or the many other dangers out in the world?
And how are we going to get out there?
One day we will. Somehow.
Every interaction between Sen and Rhea is adorable. They do well to show how unbreakable a bond between siblings, even if adopted, can be.
But now I'm going to destroy you with a weapon like this. Thalius?
Our strength comes from not the power of our weapons, but rather how we choose to wield what power we have been given.
Now that's an entrance.
Your arrival is most welcome, Kai Thalius, but unexpected all the same.
It was unexpected events which have led me here.
Subtle.
It is a fine blade, Sen.
Thank you.
Your father would not approve of this training.
I know.
And he definitely would not want you to have what I'm about to give you.
Thalius is pretty much Sen and Rhea's cool uncle who always approves of their interests. He's a nice foil to Osivian, the typical protective father.
Now, remember, you cannot let Osivian know about...
Thalius? Is that you?
Oh, Osivian!
Everyone in this scene reeks of awkward.
But you two. I specifically told you to stay away from each other.
Osivian might come off as unlikable to the audience at first, but he is just being a dad after all. He's still a good guy and he's just trying to protect those he cares for.
And Sen, I wish you would respect my wishes. I raised you as a member of this clan, even though by blood you are not.
All right, Osivian, I think they have heard enough for today.
It's admirable how Thalius is trying to lower the tension. Fellow Sindaris wave to Sen, but his wave back is weak, implying that although the Sindaris are welcoming, Sen still doesn't entirely feel like he belongs. The design for Sen's room is really nice and casual. The light rays shining through the fences.
Since you continue to show good behavior, and your crimes were, once again, minor, we're going to accelerate your release.
So, that explains the cake. A celebration.
Don't touch my cake.
Marcus the Warden is like a combination of Officer Earl, Sergeant Powell, and Sheriff Bubs.
You're being assigned to mining duty near the Basalt Coast.
Mining duty? You sure that paper doesn't read milling duty?
This expression. Priceless.
This isn't a request, it's an assignment. You know how things are. Mines running dry, resources getting scarce.
Marcus explaining the finite resources is an interesting tidbit of information that helps ground this world in reality a bit more.
We're being forced to mine deeper into the dangers that lurk below.
If you wanted to kill me, we could have just gone with an execution.
Well, if that isn't a bad line. These cloth physics and these grass movements. Would anyone else like to live in this village? The reflections of the water, the waviness of the water, and the wheat blowing in the wind.
Rhea.
Having these two on the screen at the same time fully displays the differentiation between male and female Ardoni. Male Ardoni have one colored pixel crawling over the front of their face, and the female have three.
What are you doing?
What? Nothing. What are you doing here?
Nothing.
These cheeky smiles are adorable. Also, they do toy around with subdivided mouths here, and they look so good.
Sen, Sivian is right about some things.
What do you mean?
I'm one of the few remaining female Ardoni, and you're clanless. We'll never be going on crazy adventures like the stories Thalius tells.
This scene holds such emotional weight to it. Their dreams have just been crushed, and Rhea believes that they don't have a lot of reasons to continue pursuing them. The weight hits because these characters have already been so well developed.
Here. You'll probably want this back.
It was meant for you, Rhea.
And Sen refusing the spirit tells Rhea that they still can pursue these dreams. They shouldn't care how risky the stakes are, they should just try to be happy. And curiosity kills the cat. These small wood log models and these fire effects.
They were Voltaris. At least 7 of them. I have reported this to the Masters, but they refuse to take action.
And why would they listen? You have spoken about the Voltaris and their return for the last 100 years. Without evidence, your words can only fall on deaf ears.
That line is amazing.
All I can do is prepare. Someone is listening.
Thalius!
Thalius is smirking here.
I believe a stricter punishment is in order.
No, that will not be necessary, Osivian. I will take him with me on my journey, and discipline him myself.
Once again, showing the cool Uncle Thalius.
I'm really going to travel with you? How far are we going? What should I bring?
Tom Acklio brings such a young spirit to Sen that it's hard not to get excited for him. This is a nice tranquil setting. The sound effects, the colors, the lighting. I could just sit here for hours. The way the camera starts on Abigail's bow and slowly turns to her.
What is it, Sam? I hope it's better than tomorrow's breakfast, because you just...
The purple particle effects and the light rays shining down adds a lot of mystique to the scene. Also, it's an interesting characteristic that the dragon egg replaces all the local blocks in the ground with endstone. Makes it seem more powerful and ominous. Once again, a perfect cliffhanger. And to end things off, here's Derp and here's Yi. And before I go, I just want to say, I know it's been such a long time. It's just, these videos are tough enough to get out as is, and with the pandemic and coronavirus and all that, it's been tougher for me to find time to record these things. So, I'm sorry this video took so long to get out. But you know what? I am back, and I am ready to push out more content for you. I am still doing all the editing for these videos, but now I have brought on 2 incredible writers for my team. So I just want to give a big shout out to Poseidon Air. Yes, that Poseidon Air. And Thoughts of Everything for helping me out with this video, helping me out with this series. This will be a 5-part series, and they have helped out a ton with this, and they've given me motivation to continue doing it. And I'm just so appreciative of their help. So, give them some love in the comments. I don't care what shape or form, just give them appreciation, because they really deserve it. And so, with that, I will see you guys for Everything Great About Songs of War, Part 2.